Hello everyone, this is a review of the Lumix GX80 or GX85, depending on where you live, Europe or States. This is a review about somebody thinking about either getting the Lumix G7 or the GX80. So I've been really hesitant between the two systems. I've been trying the G7 that I really like, and it's really a nice camera. It's just a little bit too bulky. So I got the GX80 for like a couple of weeks to test, and this is my conclusion. To sum it up really simple, I think I'm gonna get the G80, which is a new G7. So the G80 is really the perfect camera right now in terms of Lumix and everything I need. So all of those cameras are excellent. Now I'm gonna tell you exactly why I don't like the GX85. It's a great camera. There's a couple of reasons why it's not worth getting the smaller size camera, and for some reasons. So let me get back. The reason why I got the GX85 is because I wanted a smaller camera to be able to carry it on a trip, even in the street, to do some street photography. So this format is really great, which is true. But what you lose compared to a G7, I think, is not worth this smaller size. That's my conclusion. So what do you lose? So first of all, this camera is actually quite heavy. So, which means that when you're holding it with just one hand, it's actually painful. No, it's not easy. So because it's a different format, you know, it's really hard to hold it. You don't have a good grip. So you feel the heaviness more, and the camera tends to, you can feel like, you know, it's tiring for the wrist, for the hand. So it's smaller, that's true, but it's also quite heavy. So it's very uncomfortable, first of all, for this reason. There's a second reason why I think that this camera is not worth having versus the G7 is because of the viewfinder. The viewfinder is actually, when I got the G7, I was really amazed. I didn't think that the viewfinder was something I needed, but actually it's so convenient for many reasons. You know, you can do everything on the viewfinder. You can do it on the screen or the viewfinder. It's the same. So it's very convenient when it's very bright and everything. But this viewfinder actually is not convenient because I think it's too close to the screen. So basically, when you actually get close, your eyes on the viewfinder, your nose touch the screen and start focusing on different sections. So you can turn it on. Actually, the screen can be turned off. This LCD screen can be turned off, so that when you only use the viewfinder. So that works out. But when you touch it, it's still sensitive. So this functionality of touching the LCD for focusing is really nice, you see. But if you want to use the viewfinder, it keeps focusing on different area of the screen, which is really a pain. So the LCD on the G7 is outstanding. I mean, so good. I mean, when I got this, what you can do with the LCD is pull it like this, and then put it a little bit more, and then you get it like that on this position, which is very nice. And you can get it that way, no more than this, okay? So if you go high, it's convenient. If you go very low on the ground, you do that, and then there you go. So that's okay. You cannot reverse it, you cannot tilt it in many ways like you can do on the G7. But the problem I got is that it's very hard to manipulate. I don't know what it is, but for instance, to open it, you have to pull here, okay? It's kind of hard to pull. Once you pull it, if you want to put it really vertically, you have to pull it out a little bit more and then twist it again. So it's difficult. So when you're, like, for instance, doing some video, you want suddenly to go down, then you have to do that like that, and it's difficult, it's not easy. Then the other thing also is all the function button. I really like all the customization you can do on the G7 with all the buttons, but on this one, the buttons are basically on many places. They are very hard to feel. You don't know which button you're gonna touch. So because of the size of the camera, when you're holding it, you're often like twisting button. You're changing, for instance, here you're changing the speed or some parameters. You're just pressing the button by mistake. You're changing all kind of things. So it's very hard to manipulate those function buttons. The camera is too small. You're touching them all the time. You're changing everything all the time. So that's the other reason why I really don't appreciate this camera versus the G7. The G7 is very ergonomic. You hold it, you know exactly where the buttons are. For instance, you have a little lock for manual focus. On the G7, here you have no lock. You have to press. You cannot switch to manual focus as easily as you can on the other one. So it's not as good. So to summarize, I think the ergonomics of the GX85 is basically not as good as the G7. So what you gain in size, you lose too much in terms of functionalities, especially because the G7 format is not that big neither. It's quite light. It's just more a DSLR kind of format, but it's not that big. And don't forget that compared to the G80, this has no mic input. So you cannot put a mic, and the LCD is very, very, very limited compared to the G80 coming up. Thank you for watching.